Hello, everyone. Talent Solutions is excited to welcome you here today. We have a wonderful conversation for you, and I am pleased to introduce our speakers. But before we get started with today's discussion, let's review a few quick reminders. We would love to hear from you during today's presentation. If you have any questions or comments throughout the live webinar, please be sure to submit them in the Ask a Question box below the viewing window. If you have audio or visual issues, please refresh your browser or refer to the Not Hearing Audio Click Here for Help button below the Q&A box. It may also be helpful to close out other tabs or applications to improve the overall quality of the video. To respond to today's polling questions, please remember you must exit full screen mode. Once you have submitted your responses, you may go back to full screen mode. This webinar is valid for one SHRM PDC credit or SHRM SCP recertification. You must participate for 50 minutes of the webinar to be eligible for credit, and each participant must be logged into an individual computer to track your participation. For those viewing live and on demand within 3 weeks of the live webinar, you can view your SHRM credit within your portal within 1 to 2 weeks of viewing. So to begin, please note the presentation you're about to witness should not be relied upon or construed as legal, financial, and/or medical advice. Please consult with your own legal, HR, and finance resources and consider state and local law variations before making any policy or procedure changes. I am very pleased to welcome our talented experts here today. Please join me in welcoming Kurt Trost, who will kick us off.
Thank you so much, Savannah. And I guarantee you there will be no medical advice in the hour ahead. Thank you all very much for joining us. My name is Kurt Trost. I am the VP of Client Solutions at Talent Solutions RPO under the ManpowerGroup family of companies. I lead our solutions group, meeting with our clients all over the globe to talk about and design the dedicated outsourced RPO function that we provide on a daily, weekly, and yearly basis. With me, I've brought Valerie, Ells, and Dana Meyer to carry the conversation with me today. Let me hand it over to Val for a quick introduction.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Valerie Ells, and I've had the privilege of working in the manufacturing, transportation, and energy sectors for the last 25 plus years. And my passion really lies in transforming how organizations can attract and develop their talent. I work really closely with my clients to implement effective and efficient data-driven strategies that can really make an impact. So honestly, I've seen so much change over the years that affected the way that the best way for us to attract talent, honestly. So again, thanks for joining us today, and I'm really looking forward to today's session. So I'll turn it to Dana.
Hi, everyone. Dana Meyer. I'm the director of Ignite Recruitment Marketing, our in-house recruitment marketing agency within Talent Solutions. Similar to Val, I've been in this industry for a little over 15 years. And my background was actually not recruitment at all, not talent acquisition. Didn't know what it was when I was first even joining my first recruitment organization. I grew up in marketing and PR and events. And that's really the lens that I bring to the Ignite group and then to all of our client solutions, is looking how we can marry the traditional recruitment and talent attraction techniques that our recruiters are so adept at, alongside the types of consumer marketing that we all experience day in and day out to be exposed to new products and services. So very, very excited to be here and share some of our tips and insight with you guys today.
Thank you very much. And if you can't tell, this is going to be a light conversation. We'll mess up a word here or there, fairly unscripted as we go through things. But first and foremost, thank you for joining us. We did get a chance to see the invite list, so we do see a number of friends joining us from Canada. So thank you for being here with us today. We hope that we hit every side of the border and answer all the questions that you might have for us. Let's set the stage a little bit. Dana started to unpack who Ignite Recruitment Marketing is. Ignite was born out of our RPO division out of necessity, right? We fill about 400,000 roles on an annual basis across hundreds of different clients in all 4 regions of the globe. So out of necessity to deliver 100% fulfillment of those roles, we had to become more diverse in how we thought about talent attraction. And we had to keep up with, obviously, the ever-changing landscape. We're here to talk a lot about job boards, how to shift away from a post and pray mentality to more of a modern talent acquisition approach. And that really is applying those consumer candidate techniques. But under the lens of Ignite, we think about this as marketing, right? We are a Microsoft advertising partner and a Google partner. You earn those awards by placing thousands of advertisements, responding through those, applying for the certification. So ultimately, we're very proud of those. But again, it's tied back to our recruitment process outsourcing function. And we had to do this to deliver upon contracts with our client partners. So that said, let's kick it off with our first question. We hope that you'll participate all the way through. There's some sassy responses if you get into it. So pay attention and hopefully you'll have a smile with us. You're going to want to answer this in the questions, right? So you'll see the question mark. This is where you're going to want to respond to this. What words and phrases come to mind when you think about job boards? Our clients have shared many words, some positive, some not so positive, some snarky, if you will. But Val, while we gather some of the responses coming in through the questions tab, everyone, tell us what's on the minds of your clients. What are they thinking about? What are they talking about?
Yeah, great question. For me, when the first things that I think about when I think of job boards are, obviously, you already said post and pray, right? We've been talking about that for years and years. And the second is really to question, and ask yourself, are you really only looking for talent that doesn't have a job today? Because the vast majority of people that are spending time on the job boards, that's where they're from. And I think most of us are looking for those passive candidates that want to join our teams, that are not typically the ones that you're going to find on the job boards. But what's interesting is that when I think about some of the client prospects that I have conversations with, they're always talking about their high attrition rates. And when I ask them where they're getting the majority of their talent, most of the time it's coming from the job boards. So sometimes there's a direct correlation there that you have to be mindful. Job boards are great, right? Like, you still need them and they're important, but that's not really where you want to get your talent from as 100%.
Jenna added a note, repetitive in a lot of different ways, right? Sometimes I have had, let's call him Kurt, the candidate, apply 5 times to the same job, or 3 different job titles. I'll see Kurt on all 3 different postings. Repetitive is a good word, Jenna. Yeah. Who else we have? Lisa says matches, keywords, digging deeper. Are we leveraging AI? Some of the boards are, some of them aren't. Some of them say they are. But really, what is AI? Machine learning or matching, right? What kind of AI are we talking about? Cumbersome, overwhelming, post and pray, Dara, after my own heart. External postings, right? That's a good way to think about that as well, right? That might be your only access to external postings. Maybe your organization has pre-selected some job boards, right? You have a yearly subscription, so it's all you have. And you might think that you're limited. John, expensive, saturated, expensive. Again, expensive seems to be a reoccurring theme. That's excellent. Hey, we'll have more polls coming up. Val, continue on. Let's set the stage, and then we're going to get into our 5 tactics here quickly enough.
Yeah, for sure. So when we look at the top priorities for the CEOs that are out there, it's clear that attracting and retaining talent is critical focus. I'm sure you guys are all feeling pressure from your CEOs or those above you. And honestly, recruitment marketing plays a pivotal role in all of this. So it's about building an appealing employer brand that resonates with the candidate. It's not just about filling the positions. It's about making sure that you're attracting the right talent, which is why focusing on the job boards is not going to solve that for you. So, if I look at all 10 of the priorities, every single one of them circle back and pertain to recruitment marketing in some way, shape, or form. And if I just look at a couple, like improving customer service and improving external communications, it's about making sure that there's clear, consistent messaging being delivered across all your platforms. It's about treating your candidate pool just as if they are your customers. And then if we look at like maybe digital transformation and increasing AI, I mean, let's face it, technology is entirely reshaping how we connect with candidates. And candidates and customers alike want the experience to be first fast and then second easy. You know, when I think about, you know, some of the pieces that are really important to me, today I'm seeing a ton of change. Change is at the height. I'm seeing big volumes in mergers, acquisitions, divestitures. And if you're hoping to have those passive candidates leave their existing roles and take a leap of faith, you need to showcase what your company initiatives are, clearly communicate what your company visions are, talk about stability, you know, maybe even highlighting upskilling and reskilling. But you have to be transparent in your communication to help alleviate any sort of concerns that a candidate might have as to whether they want to join your company or not.
Oh, a couple more answers came in. Swipe right for unemployment. Crystal, thank you for the snark.
Yeah.
You're going to do well here. Urgent or high volume, but we want to come back to that, right? Because I think there was a time 5-10 years ago when job boards were your only option for urgent or high volume. We see more speed come through places like Meta, right? Where we see a quick response in 24, 48 hours. So maybe we can shift your thought there. Resume, black hole, wasteful, Melanie, love it. We do have compliance, which is important to think about. We have government and we have some bankers on the call today, right? So for compliance reasons, they're kind of stuck with that external posting. So great way to get us started. Thank you all for participating. Keep it coming.
Yeah, for sure. You know, there's today the applicant ratios that are out there are super high. Today, the average is about 135 just to get to one particular hire. Now, these are levels that we haven't seen since like 2008, 2009. And honestly, when you think about that at first, you're like, gosh, it sounds like a good problem to have, right? Lots of candidates, applicants coming through. Well, not necessarily, because if you have to go through 135 candidates to get one, first of all, our job board's going to give you 135 candidates month over month? Probably not. It also means that your recruiters are going to have to comb through a large number of candidates just to get to that one hire. And if you think back to the previous slide, I'm sure cost was on there as well in the top 10. Time is money. And let's face it, if it takes you longer to get through those 135 candidates, you're going to miss out on the quality candidate that's sitting there. They're not going to sit and wait. They're going to go find another job. So if I think about, you know, how do we combat that? Obviously, you know, refining your marketing strategy frequently, really understanding what those effective channels are, you know, where you should target, and making sure that you're clear. Your job descriptions are clear, detailed, specific. You know, if I think of some different examples that I've had over the years, or even just one probably fairly recent, you know, we had a large environmental company that we helped them to create job testimonials, day in the life videos, and then we utilized that in our recruitment marketing strategies. We saw a decrease in the volume of applicants that were coming through, but what was great was that the ones that were coming through were qualified. They had a thorough understanding of what the job entailed, and it kind of allowed people to kind of self-select out, which in turn reduced our time to fill, and then ultimately reduce the companies that early attrition rate. You know, when a candidate starts and they're like, this isn't what I signed up for. Mm-hmm. Really important on those things. Probably one other example I'll give you is the job titles. Had a client that was posting a position for a line wirer. I've been in this industry for a long time, and I said, I don't know what a line wirer does. And then when I looked at the job description, I said, I still don't know what a line wire does. You know, so sometimes just a simple tweak in marketing titles and making sure things are really clear and precise, it can help you to make sure you're attracting the right talent and getting to that to where it doesn't take you 135 to get there.
Yeah, I remember that line wire. I didn't know that Val was going to use that example. That's a real example right there. Yeah. 135 candidates, you repost that same job, same platform next month, you're probably going to get 50% of the same traffic to that job board, right? So it's about diversifying where your candidates are coming from and ultimately where are they spending their time at, right? Val, beautiful setting of the stage to our audience that is almost 200 strong. We have another one for you, right? I want you to put your consumer hat on. Right. By the way, generated by AI, you all can be marketers too, right? So wonderful job here. Put your consumer hat on. When you want to research a product or a service, what do? Remember, we're going back to the question tab here to drop it in. We're going to bring Dana in for some color commentary, but you're at the store, right? You see something, you might want to buy it, but instead you do what before buying it? Go ahead, Dana.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So as I mentioned earlier, right, my background is in that consumer marketing space, and your candidates really like to be treated like consumers. There's not a lot of difference between what they're doing on a daily basis. And again, to get to that 135 candidates for every rec, really looking at how you expand that funnel and expand your strategy. We know that job boards they're critical, right? They're necessary as part of your strategy, but what else can you be doing? And that's really where that consumer hat comes into place, meeting candidates where they are, right? So if you're starting to look at here, so let's see here, Jenny is saying Google or search engine, right? You go to the company's website. So this doesn't matter if it's a product or a service, if you're looking to make a big purchase or a small purchase, usually the bigger purchase, you're going to do more research. So think about buying a house, buying a car, getting a new job, right? Those are big life decisions. You want to do your research. Yeah, so Google is probably one of the first places that you're going to go. Jenny also said company's website and Amazon. Yep, Lisa said the same thing. Google it or check Amazon. Checking Google reviews, right? Kelly's Google, Bridget, reviews online, Crystal. I become a professional internet detective. Excellent, right?
She's a recruiter.
I'm guessing.
That's how Dana started her career.
Crystal, that's how we got here.
Yeah, you look at the reviews. You want to know what people say, right? You're looking at reviews. You're asking connections. Brittany, exactly. You ask group chats, right? Hey, has anybody ever been to this restaurant before? Have you guys been to this event? Or does anybody own this tablet? We need to get a new tablet for one of our kids because of course they broke it. But again, asked a bunch of the other moms, hey, ever seen either one of these two? Thoughts? What's your feedback? Social media. I'm in various parent groups and things online. So I'll ask about different product reviews. Exactly. So your space is going to go online, right? You're asking online experts, and chances are you're probably doing a mix, right? You're doing a mix. You want to see what other people say that you don't know. You want to see what, the online warriors are saying there online, and you're asking friends and family, you're asking your trusted colleagues, and you're seeing what those companies say. So, absolutely you're looking for that information. Pretty much they're online.
Yeah, if I could also share, because when I think about this with my clients, for me, the very first thing I do is ask someone else what their experience is, right? There's nothing better than a referral. And years ago, it used to be that, you do a little bit of referrals, but not much. But I'll tell you, things have shifted. Ultimately, we're hoping that clients can have 30% of their talent coming in come from a referral. No one talks about and really explains what your company culture is, the benefits of being there, and why someone stays there than someone that's there. But the difference is that you have to market that a little bit, right? Like whether that's through the recruitment marketing lens of just how you're framing that up, or if it's employee testimonials, it's something, and if you can't find things out there, people go to Glassdoor and all those other areas because they want to know what people are experiencing. So super important. And then I'll also say that I think you'll find a direct correlation as well in retention increases as your referrals increase as well.
That's true. That's true. And the reason we stopped real heavy on the consumer bit of this is because you all are our consumers. You all are candidates, right? Over the last 10 years, there has been a blend between the consumer world and the candidate world. And now candidates expect the same experiences that they have in purchasing something on Amazon. I swipe right, that package shows up here 2 days later. No questions asked. It didn't take me an hour. I didn't have to load up my information and my resume and answer questions and put forth all that effort. But that's what I've come to expect as a consumer, right? I'm going to make a couple quick hits here because you really do need to understand who your audience is and how they are spending their time. Because when Kurt is standing in line getting his groceries, I'm not scrolling Indeed or Career Builder. I haven't been on Indeed in decade looking for a job for myself, a lot as a recruiter, but that's not where I spend my time personally, right? I do use social media. I have YouTube for my house and for my family, right? Email communication all day long at work, right? Shopping, browsing all the time, right? Gaming, my kids, right? That's where you can get their attention at. The point is where is your audience spending their attention and their time? If we look at some of these platforms and break them down a little bit further, you're going to start to see, first of all, 70% of job searches still start on Google with recruiting jobs near me, right? So understanding that that's still the mentality of the candidate, they're not going directly to Indeed first. The large percentage of folks are still starting at Google. I will do a shout out to Bing here. Bing's on the rise. Like when we look at our data behind the scenes, Bing's on the rise, which we smile about because they were kind of a blip for many, many years. But there's a small tidbit takeaway. Bing is starting to show up in more results, meaning that we drive traffic from display ads coming off of Bing into our ATS or into our CRM. So just a little FYI there. And so again, where is my audience spending their time? Globally, these are the top 15 websites, right? Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, X, formerly Twitter, Yahoo, Wikipedia, right? You know this. This is a lot of you. This probably isn't late breaking news. Point is that where your job adverts are? Is that where you're going to drive traffic to your careers page or right to the job level, right? That's the question to consider here, right? We look at the U.S. and just take a little bit more of an at-home view. We see that WhatsApp falls off. The reason we wanted to show this juxtapose is that I would point to stupid Kurt, right? Maybe I didn't realize that outside the US, how important WhatsApp is to the recruiting process. It's wildly important. But if you have a US centric view, you need to stop and pause and see where your audience in that particular geography, let's say regionally, globally, is spending their time. And that's where you need to start to drive some of your recruitment dollars. Right, break that down a little further. That was websites, that was desktop, right? When we think about social networks alone, we get Facebook at the top. This is the number of daily average users. That's 3.8 billion daily average users on Facebook, YouTube. We have the stat here. Indeed averages 330 million visitors per month. 330 million, 3.8 billion. Huge difference, right? So we're thinking about eyeballs on my adverts, right? Facebook provides a huge opportunity. YouTube is a go-to for research for folks, and especially for a generation coming definitely behind me, my kids, they don't use Google. And this is a monthly average, by the way. This is not a daily average. Thank you very much, Dana. Told you we wouldn't be perfect, but we'll clean it up. But my kids, they're going straight to YouTube to do their research. They're not even stopping at Google anymore. Right? Career Builders, 6.3 million visitors per month. Again, 3.8 billion, right? So where is my audience spending their time? And that's why we want to start to drive more of that consumer marketing approach, because this is what folks like Dana and her team think about. They think about it through the consumer marketing lens and how we drive traffic back to our job level adverts. Just another FYI, ZipRecruiter, 37.1 million visitors per month. Obviously, Indeed is grabbing the lion's share there. But when you compare it to the rest of the internets, Really, it's kind of a dwarf. This is just to cement the point home, right? This is based on our own ManpowerGroup research. The consumer candidate, they expect applying to a job to be as easy as buying online. And what do I mean by that, right? We know that every additional click or page in an ATS equals 25% more drop off, right? So your ease of your application needs to be there for these consumer candidates. I want you to do something when we're off this call. I want you to apply to your own job. Go to the job board, apply, time it, see how long it takes. See if you have the patience to do that. You're employed, by the way. So is 95% of the population. And even in a bad year, 90% of the population is employed, right? By and large. So they're not going to go out of their way to fill out an hour-long job application or do an assessment first or this. You need to think about ease of that consumer candidate. And so that's really what we wanted to get you going here, right? Your funnel is going to shift if you follow some of the tactics that Dana lays out for you. It's going to shift from being job boards in a post and pray mentality, right? Where I just click a switch and it goes out for 30 days and maybe I fill it, maybe I don't, right? To more of a funnel that looks like this, right? It's a little bit more active. It has more speed. The cost per click goes down. The cost per applicant goes down. And you start to pay attention to where your personas are spending their time and attention, which is a really critical piece of recruitment marketing, right? Who am I after? Where do they live? And how do they spend their time? And you can start to dial in those candidate profiles and find a line wirer, even if they don't even know they're a line wirer themselves, right? So, all right, we had to get through some of that. We got to set the stage there. We're getting into the 5 ways to prime your pipeline using consumer marketing tactics. We're going to go on a W on this page. I'm going to hand it over to Dana to take us through this. We're talking about digital advertising campaigns. Think about your banner ads, your pay-per-click ads, your displays. Then we're going to go to organic social media strategy. You want to think about your TikTok dances. I'm not going to be doing any here today, but this is organic, right? We're driving creative content through whether it be our recruitment, marketing, or operations teams. We're going to talk about programmatic job board advertising. That's where we use one tool driven by AI to move jobs across different job boards, leveraging leveraging data to have more efficient spend and outcomes. We got to bring it together with the CRM. Got to have a tool, right, to capture the data of these candidates, to remarket to them quickly, to be able to organize and communicate back to those candidates. And then you heard Dana in her intro. She spent some time in experiential marketing and events. They're back, baby, right? They've been back for a while yet. It's our little secret. People want to be in person. They want to put their hands on things, and they're showing up in droves. So with that, Dana, I will turn it over to you.
Sounds great. So first we are going to focus on digital advertising. So we're going to go in and define each one of these, everyone, make sure that we're all on the same page. When I say digital advertising, you know what we're talking about. So as Kurt mentioned, digital advertising, it's any of the paid promotions that you see online. So think about when you're on, your news website, your weather site, you're looking up things on Amazon, right? You see advertisements floating around, right? Digital ads. It can be on social, in your news feeds there. The key that makes digital advertising different, there's a couple key characteristics. It needs to be interactive. You need to be able to click and interact with it. You have to be able to target using that sort of tactic, be able to measure it, dynamic, and cost effective. So those are your key differentiators here for digital advertising. All right. So common types, again, went through a few of these. Our top ones that you're going to find, again, not an inclusive list, search engine marketing. So these are the ads that you see on Google, that you see on Bing, right? You're searching for something, you're searching for, we just sold a car yesterday. So we are now going to be looking probably for a new Camry or an Accord. If anybody has a lead, just send it my way. We're in the market, but I'll Google it and I'll start to see ads from my local car dealerships and local sellers, right? With those keywords in them. Display advertising is, again, when you're out on, let's say you're on, CNN.com, right? You are looking at all of the different pop-ups, the videos, right? That ties into video advertising, but the still image ads, that's display ads. Social ads are what comes up on your news feed. Email marketing is, of course, anything that you can go to email individuals, and video ads as mentioned. So now that we're all on the same page, we are going to drop a poll here for the group. So you should see that, Savannah. I think we need to come out of full screen, right, in order to answer the polls. So if you are in full screen mode, come out of full screen mode. And we have a poll for the group wondering, what is this group doing for digital advertising for recruiting? You have your options. No, you're not using any sort of digital advertising for recruiting. Yes, you use it on an ad hoc or as needed basis. You have an always on approach. You use both ad hoc and an ongoing approach, maybe depending on what you're doing, or maybe you have no idea. Maybe you have no idea what's happening within your organization.
No idea.
So let's see what we're seeing here.
I've noticed I think there's a tape delay in case we swear, and then Savannah can just bleep us out. So the results, they're about 10 seconds behind.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll tell you the first time that I ever noticed a cookie was following me. I was looking for a snowblower. And you don't look for a snowblower, but like once in your life, maybe twice, I don't know, right? But I had never seen an ad for a snowblower come through any of my feeds before. Did it one morning, and for weeks, snowblower, the exact snowblower I was looking at. I'm like, this is creepy, then it was everywhere. But because it was just so unique, the snowblower bit, I was like, they got me. I don't know how, but they got me.
Yep. You got it. All right. So we're looking at the poll here. It looks like, we got about a third and a third of not using any sort of digital advertising yet, about a third using on an ad hoc basis. We have some with an always on, some with always on and ad hoc, and some of you guys aren't aware. All right, so mixing in there. And while you guys are finishing up the poll, we're going to take a look at why would you want to use digital advertising. Again, think about those key characteristics. It is a fabulous way to expand your funnel in your pool. We use within the Ignite group for many of our clients, we are using digital advertising for almost all of our clients. It works across a wide variety of roles. It ends up being very cost effective. We recently had a campaign where our Google ads generated, I believe it was $1.50 cost per applicant. $1.50 cost per applicant, which is kind of unheard of. Very, very proud of the team and the support that we saw there. But usually it tends to be a slightly higher CPA than job boards. But usually you end up getting it with better quality because you're able to target candidate quite a bit better. Really fantastic way to enhance and really relay your employer branding, really show companies and show teams who you are. All right. And so here is where we are going to give you, and we found out Val, I actually had this labeled as secret sauce, and Val told me, don't use that. I hate secret sauce. So we are going to give you our cheat codes. And so if you are not yet using, for the 28% of you who are not yet using digital marketing, we're going to give you some of those cheat codes. And then for those of you who are, we're going to give you some opportunities and some ways to level up, right? To increase what you're doing and enhance your digital marketing strategy. So first, make sure you have the right budget. Super important. I was working with a client recently that had a minuscule budget that they were thinking about allocating for their strategy. And we know that they're not going to be effective with that. It ends up being a waste of your money. In fact, if you have a small budget. So make sure that you are using best practices and guidance for your daily and monthly budgets. Do you have a plan in place to field those leads? Right. I know Val and Kurt talked quite a bit about this earlier. The volume of candidates that you get in, sometimes when you add and expand that strategy, can be overwhelming. So make sure you have a plan in place, which certainly ties into us talking about the CRM in just a bit. Route your messages in your EVP. Use AI. AI can be your friend. I use my preference is Google Gemini. I know I have a few other members of my team. They use the paid Chat GPT and prefer that. So find an AI tool that can be another person to bounce your ideas off of. And then make sure you're looking at your tactics and find out which ones are going to be more lead gen based tactics, meaning that they're going to convert candidates and get you actual leads, and tactics that are going to help reinforce that brand awareness. So think about a billboard. If you're driving along the street, right? A billboard is not, you're not going to pull over on the highway and say, oh, I'm going to apply for this job now, but it helps reinforce that messaging. So then when you go on Instagram later, you're like, oh yeah, so-and-so is hiring, I'm going to apply.
I'll throw another cheat code. It's not on there, but billboard, get that QR code up there. You got to connect that back to the digital experience too, right? You can't just say apply now, call here, go visit the website. Give them something easy so it's just right in process.
Yep. No different than a yard sign. Sometimes those are just so important in some rural market areas, but tied into technology.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So if you are in the 35, 10, or 17% that are using digital marketing in some way, have you been A/B testing? Can you enhance your assets? Are you using user-generated content? Are you engaging your employees to help provide content? Have you developed personas in order to create a campaign strategy that targets those personas particularly? Are you retargeting? And are you using your own first-party data for targeting? These are really, really important ways to increase and enhance and optimize your digital marketing strategy. All right, team. So just a quick example of one of our lovely clients, Pella Windows and Doors here. So Pella was hiring production operators, rural markets, a lot of rural markets. We were supporting both Pella with the RPO program and recruitment marketing. They also hired a nationally recognized advertising agency to run ads. And we had a 4-month flight. We added in quite a few digital marketing techniques, really, really honed in on the strategy, the audience, the persona. And during that 4-month time frame, with about 1/6 of the budget that they gave that agency, we were able to deliver 3 times the number of hires. And again, that's just not just applicants. That is the number of people starting with Pella, which is outstanding, especially in a rural market. So like I said, we use digital marketing for so many of our clients, and these are the kind of key results that we see once it's executed properly.
Just your mention of rural market reminded me, this is where your geofencing capabilities, geo-targeting capabilities come in. Right? If you want to draw a 10-mile radius around your facility, right, you can drive your advertising dollars to within that 10-mile radius. Much different than a job board in which you're getting applicants from hundreds of miles away, right? Or that might come from the other side of the bridge if you live in Florida, right? Because sometimes people don't cross bridges in Florida very often, Dana, just so you're aware.
Yes, indeed. Same with San Francisco, Seattle, bridges, Manhattan, we got it. All right, so an organic social strategy is just essentially your team putting non-paid messaging out on your social channels. So this could be a dedicated careers channel. This could also be a dedicated or just integrated into your overall corporate approach. So we do have a poll here coming up. So looking at ways here that you're using organic. But the key part for an organic strategy is talking more about the brand and the culture, not just the job. Okay. So that's the key part, is to make sure that people are engaging with your company as an employer, not you as a company that's hiring. And that's kind of a very important distinction. All right. So Savannah, do we have our poll popping out here? Let's see. Here, and while we're doing the poll, we will also look at why you would want to create this organic recruiting strategy. And again, if you're in full screen mode, pop out of full screen mode so we can do the poll here. So why create an organic social recruiting strategy? Think about that consumer hat. Your customers and your clients, doesn't matter if you're a B2B or B2C company, they have the potential to be candidates. I cannot tell you how many people we have in the RPO group that used to be our clients.
Yeah.
So many.
And the reverse is true too, right? Your candidates are also buying the products for it. So if you're looking for investment from your organization, you need to make a business case. You need to let them know that this is the same as advertising to B2B or B2C, right? Like that, get that buy-in and drive it this way.
You got it. You got it. So again, it looks like our poll results coming in. A lot of teams, you're not using an organic strategy yet. Yes, 21%, it works great. 27%, see numbers floating around, need some work. Yes, but not sure if it's effective or not, right? And again, you get really unique insights into what your audience wants because you can see what they're reacting to. And then you can continue to target that same type of content. As mentioned before, fabulous for culture and highlighting your DEIB strategy and other things that make you a great employer. And probably the best part, no advertising budget. It's free, right? I mean, it takes people time, resource time to do it, but it is by and large, it can be a free, a very inexpensive way to engage talent.
This is where all of your referrals come into play, right? That's your organic traffic because it's the word of mouth. It's people saying why they're passionate about where they're working. Exactly. I can personally share that my passion for where I work is off the charts. I would have been gone long years and years ago. You know, we work very, very hard, but I'm passionate about what we stand for and what we do as a company. And that to me is one of the most important things that an employee is looking for from my perspective. So organic traffic is key.
Yes.
And then what you do with that.
Yep. And then it can really complement to your paid strategy, of course, as well. Mm-hmm. They can work really hand in hand. But I cannot emphasize enough as your first and probably core cheat code for an organic strategy. Do not talk about your jobs. Do not. Mm-hmm. So we have friends over at Rally Recruitment Marketing. If anybody is familiar with that organization, they put out a blog post, I don't know, a few weeks ago. And the blog, it used their tool, right, for posting and sharing organic content. But they were within that survey, they looked at the content that was getting the most engagement and the content that was getting the least engagement. You know what content got the least engagement? Content that said, apply now hiring, job, basically job-related content, job-level marketing does not work for organic. So focus on your culture, your people, partner with your marketing team. Make sure that this is a part of just one or two people's jobs, not everyone's job. Otherwise, it's not going to get done properly. Use that mix of media. So that's your basics here if you're looking to start out. If you are it looks like maybe about half the folks who are using an organic strategy now, again, A/B test, user-generated content. Activate an employee advocacy tool so that way it makes it really easy to share. Look at ways that you can engage different groups like alumni, new college grads, diversity groups, military veterans, your seasonal talent, etc. Expand your platforms. You know, if you're only on Facebook, look at going out to Instagram or TikTok, right? Again, understand your audience, understand where they're spending time, get content on those channels. Look at ways you can do interactive content, polls, feedback, things like that. And then, of course, use your feedback and your analytics that you get from this to help inform your paid advertising strategy. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Val to talk a little bit here about programmatic coming up next.
Wonderful, thank you. So what is programmatic advertising? It's simply where you're going to buy all of your display media through a software that's going to then decide what type of different websites it should put it on. Keep in mind that there's billions of different websites out there, right, to post your advertising on. Well, the concept of programmatic job board advertising is really similar. But instead of looking at various websites, it's using AI to determine, which of those job boards it thinks is where your job is actually going to perform the best and get you the best talent, whether that is from niche or some broader ones all the way through. And Kurt, it looks like, is there another click? Because it seems like there is.
There it is.
There it is. Thanks. Sorry about that. So hopefully I explained it all thoroughly there for you, but that's the big difference. It all came out of programmatic advertising. But if we click to the next one, here are just a few examples of programmatic job board providers. It's not inclusive. it's just really some of the ones that are more top and commonly known that are in the market right now. But let's do a poll. So our question is your company using a programmatic job board tool to get your jobs to job boards today? And I know we have a little bit of a delay in that, so I'm going to click over.
That's right. I'll fill it with the quick Kurt story.
Okay, yeah.
But so we've been doing this 19 years, everybody. When we first started, we only had 2 options, right? We had Career Builder and Monster. And so you would have to post it on each site, make your tweaks to each site. Did this work over here? We'd be A/B testing. We didn't even know what it was. 4th job board, 5th job board, right? We're doing the same things. Now we're doing it across 5 job boards. And you see recruiters have this terrible habit of copying and pasting from a job description, right? Which is a legal internal document used for HR, and not repurposing or repositioning that as a job advert, right? Which is obviously the cousin of a sales, right, message, right? It's attractive. It's bringing people inbound. So this, the invention of programmatic job boards really took all that labor of up and down and managing and changing and tweaking job titles and descriptions, took all that time and gave it back to your recruiters. So it's a really great advancement on top of the efficiency on spend and optimization over time. It's just important. If you're tired of the job boards, right, this might be something to look into.
Yeah, I'll say it's not something to look into. I'll say that it's something imperative that you look into, quite honestly. I remember when, and my story is very similar to Kurt's as well, but I remember when I first started using programmatic job advertising, I was totally sold on the increasing efficiency part, right? It's like recruiters were spending hours and hours posting on individual sites, wasting time and money because there was no way to really provide what the results were. There was no data analytics behind it. But now doing it through programmatic job board advertising, now you can see exactly where it's happening, right? AI is going to tell you where the best place is for it to go. You're going to have data-driven insights that are going to make sure that you're spending the money where you need to. And the best part is that you don't have to have a person do that for you. Mm-hmm. It does it itself. So now your recruiters are now spending time on the relationship, right? Because technology is fantastic and it is going to enhance our abilities and efficiencies, but it's never going to replace the human factor that's necessary to have people understand or buy into why it is they want to work for a company or what's there. So it just kind of shifts. Technology just changes the way that we work, right? So a little bit different from that perspective. But.
Well, I'm happy to report that 48%, because 2% have no idea, can't be trusted, but 48% are using programmatic sometimes, or they're all in. 14% are all in on it, and 50% are still stuck in the trap known as the regulars.
Yeah, and that 50% is really big. So these cheat codes that you're going to be looking at today, this is really where you want to start. Again, probably one of the most important ones is that programmatic is not going to fix a bad job description. It is really important that you give it time. I'm not saying that programmatic job posting will not work for some of your niche roles, but where we find it to be the most valuable is in repetitive, high volume roles. And the longer it sits there, the better, right? Because it learns. And I would say probably the 3-month mark is where everything is really rolling. So programmatic is not something that you want to that you can turn the faucet on and off for really quickly, right? So the longer it sits there, the better. And then obviously the last one there is that centralized campaign management. Super important. And that's what your partner and your vendor will do for you. And then if you are doing it, test those different job descriptions, your titles, don't use a line wire, see what else comes out of it. Engage with some different diversity products that can go there. And sometimes if your job descriptions are way off, take a look. Maybe you need to rewrite them. Maybe you need to reevaluate. Maybe your jobs have changed over the years, right? And they're a little bit different. So Again, those job titles and job descriptions are where I actually see the biggest impact for my clients. And then lastly, just making sure that there's some good time frame for that to sit there and just organically get better and better. But if you're not utilizing it today, I strongly encourage that when you leave this, that is one of the very first things that you evaluate. And it's also the easiest thing for you to evaluate, I believe, and from my perspective. So let's talk a little bit about CRMs. So what is a customer relationship management system? It's simply a software that helps you nurture and engage with customers and prospects. Sales and marketing have been using CRMs for years and years. The difference from a candidate relationship management system is really just driven out of that same process. It uses the same concept, but now it's going to apply to your candidates, which, as we already mentioned before, that human factor is super important. So it's keeping them engaged and so on. So here are a few providers. I will say that this, again, is by no means an inclusive list. There are a ton of providers in the market today, but these are just some of the ones that are commonly used. So let's take a poll. And what does your TA team use as a CRM today? And then while that's coming up, I'll talk just a little bit about why to use a CRM. Again, candidate experience is number one. Sorry, Kurt, did you have something that you wanted to say?
No, I forgot about the first answer of colorful, rambunctious Muppets, and it got me. Just like I never saw it before. So
It's another version of CRM, you know.
It is.
So.
This is just another example of why Dana and her team are so amazing at what they do, because they have a way of keeping talent engaged, keeping audience engaged, right? So sometimes you change it up a little bit.
Muppets are the key for that, obviously.
Yeah. So candidate experience is number one. Talked a little bit earlier about how technology is shaping the way that we communicate. And how candidates want that similar result of your buying experience, right? And a CRM is just instrumental in bringing all of that together. What's important to know, though, is that every CRM is a little bit different. They all have different offerings. For me, some of the staples that I think are really important for clients are like the quick apply. Again, Kurt suggested you go out and apply to your job, see how long it takes. Through a CRM, you can have a candidate should be able to apply in a matter of, less than a minute. That's ultimately what they're looking for. Secondly, I would say maybe self-scheduling. And then of course, lastly, looking at all the automation that's out there. Again, most of the ATSs take anywhere from probably 10 to 30 minutes for the most part. So CRMs are imperative to do that. And I don't know, Dana probably has numbers as far as what the average attention span of a candidate is.
It's that probably the same attention span as a colorful Muppet as well. Probably, a minute or two.
I saw a data point earlier today about from our own website. About 35 seconds was as long as people were sitting from advertisement to the first page. It was a client-driven page, so not all candidate reference, but 35 seconds, that's how long you have to engage them. They're going to read the first 5 sentences if they get there.
Yep, exactly. And also with that, I guess it's about making sure that it's available to them, whether it's midnight or 6 o'clock in the morning. That's super important to them. So those are just some things that I think you should kind of think about a little bit if you're evaluating your CRM.
You wouldn't believe how many are using Muppets to engage talent. I will go to Indeed to find a Muppet job. I promise you that.
Yep. Yeah, it's changed a lot over the years, honestly. It wasn't so large prior, but now that things have shifted from a technology standpoint and candidates want things to be fast and they want to be treated like that online buying experience, it's becoming progressively more. So here are some of your cheat codes. Sounds like you should definitely really evaluate some of these, but I would suggest, again, those automated capabilities, ability to customize things first, right? So We talked prior about how it's important to have clear, consistent messaging across all of your platforms. Here's another example of to do that. You don't want your CRM looking like everyone else's. You want to make sure it is customized to your approach and the talent that you're trying to obtain. So branding opportunities, automation, I guess we kind of ran through each of those. From a level up perspective, test things, right? No different than marketing titles. Test how your email communication is. Test how your texting capabilities are. What's the response time? And a CRM can track that and tell you where you have fallout, how long a candidate spends in each one of those phases. And that's going to be really important to tell you whether you need to tweak some things or not. It's all about making sure you get that candidate from the very beginning all the way through your funnel.
I'm going to emphasize one thing: source. This is the way you figure out the source of where your folks came from, and then you can budget against the highest, value source in the future. So source data, really important.
Yep. I mean, and that's really where the CRM comes into place. We had a recent campaign with Couche-Tard up in the Toronto area, Montreal area rather. And the CRM was integral to this process. You can see here from this particular campaign, 2 months, just shy of 2,000 candidates. But you can see there's a big difference between the 2,700 campaign or application starts and the 1,900 completions. The CRM was absolutely critical for us to A, get this data, B, be able to capture those candidates, and then C, nurture those that did not complete the application upon start. So it saved the recruiters tons of time and really made for a great candidate experience, and really saved the company money in the long run. They had a very low CPA for this. All right, so we just got a couple minutes left. We'll fly through our last one, hiring events. So experiential marketing, what are we looking at? Really, this is a way to interact with people, looking at people or interacting with people there in person. So I'm sure you see it at fairs, festival. The more time that you can get to spend with the person, the better that they are, right? So ways that you can use experiential marketing for recruitment is really in the events space, open houses, virtual events, in-person events. You could do kind of about the company webinars, job fairs, where a group of employers, but a way to get your candidates and your prospects to experience the company and the culture there live and in person. So I know we have one last poll here to push out for you. So that will be pushed out here while we fly through the last couple slides. Why hiring events? I like to think of hiring events like Costco, right? Costco, you go, you get your bulk of your items, you can spend a chunk of money, but you get a really solid deal on what you're getting. Hiring events are the same way. It's an amazing opportunity to have cost savings, showcase your brand, experience that culture live and in person, and have a really low CPA and CPH as well. So again, here's your cheat codes and your level up. Be aware of things coming up, elections, festivals, holidays, things that might be competing. Look at your day of the week. Make sure you give them a reason to attend. We always encourage you guys to look at walk-ins. Walk-ins, we see a lot of traffic from walk-ins. So even if they don't pre-register, make sure that you have a plan to manage those who have pre-registered and walk-ins and manage that wait time. And like they say on Instagram, give them a 10 out of 10 experience for when they're there in person. So if you're already doing this here with your events, plan out a hiring event schedule, track your source effectiveness, ask for feedback. Look at the wait time experience and offer tours. Like look at ways that you can really enhance their experience there on site. All right. And with that, we have one final and last question for you. Are you ready to escape the trap?
And you've done it with a minute to spare.
Minute to spare. There we go.
Yes. If you made it this far, we thank you very much. SHRM codes will be loaded up here shortly. We appreciate that. We hope you had some fun with us as well. I love that you just hit the walk-ins. Val has a walk-in Wednesday. I think they did 25 hires in a day on site, pushing people through for quick starts. Thank you very much. We gave you some cheat codes. We gave you some level up. Here's the deal. If you're not ready to take on this body of work yourself, please do call us. We'll help you get it up and running. Maybe we run it for 3 months or 6 months before turning that back over to yourself, but you'll have a great data set to work from. What sources are working? What type of content is working? Is it organic? Is it paid? Is it user generated? Right? So we'd ask, if you have the time, please reach out to us. We're going to drop a bookings link in. We'd love to hear your story. There is no hard sell. This is who we are day in, day out. But we want to hear what's working for you too. So it's a two-way conversation where we'll be happy to share a little bit, but we also want to hear what works for you in your market, for your roles, and the levels at which you're responsible for recruiting. Thank you very, very much for joining us. We hope that you'll come back for the next one, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.